Um, our invocation is set to be Janie Boyd, but I don't see her on the call. Are you here, Janie? We have Eric pinch hitting if he is ready.
I am, President Mary Pat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please join me. As we gather here today as members of Rotary, we pray that we are ever mindful of opportunities to render our service to fellow citizens and to our country, keeping in mind always the enduring values of life, exerting our efforts in those areas and on those things upon which future generations can build with confidence. Let us continue to strive to make a better world. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Eric. And Carter, I'm going to call on you to lead us in the pledge, if you will.
Please join me in saluting the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag.
To the flag.
to the flag,
United
to the United States of America,
and
To the republic,
to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
one nation,
under God,
under God,
lib-
indivisible,
under God.
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Carter. I saw you were unmuted, so you were the victim today. Thank you for doing that. I just wanted to remind everybody that out of an abundance of caution, we're going to continue through the month of February and probably March at least on Zoom every other week. So the first and third Wednesday of the month will be Zoom meetings, and the second and first and third, second and fourth will be live and at Timuquana. So next week we will be in person at, I just said it in reverse. The first and third are live. So next week we'll be at Timuquana. And if you will make sure that you go to DACDB and register so that we can make sure that we have a meal for you, because it is a plated meal. So just to correct myself, it's the first and third will be at Timuquana, the second and fourth will be Zoom. And even on the days that we're at Timuquana live, we'll still be Zooming for those of you who are unable to participate in person. There was some conversation in our chat about the availability of vaccines. Phil Voss had a really good experience out on Wiley Road, and Mr. Corrigan had a good experience downtown at the convention center getting their vaccinations. So we would encourage you, if you're able and you're in the age group that can get them. We've had some folks have good experiences with that. Sean, did you have an update on that Wiley Road location?
I'm looking it up online. Thank you, President Mary Pat. What I'm seeing online, and this is through a news outlet, so this is not an official outlet, but what I'm seeing is that the two city-run centers, one of which was Wiley and one was in Mandarin, are no longer offering the first dose. But if you got your first dose there, you return there to get your second dose. All first doses are now being distributed at the Regency Mall Center. And I believe, if I recall correctly, that's state run now. The city is working with the state on that, but y'all, I'm not an expert. I can also share that Publix is offering doses throughout the state of Florida. And although the last time I checked, they did not have any outlets in Duval County, they did in St. John's and some surrounding counties, and you did not have to live in that county to get your shot in that county. So, and there is the Publix website has a little button you push to see Florida and their sites, and you can go out there. I know on Wednesday morning at 6 a.m. and I know they sold out by 8:47, I think, or 7:47 this morning. Anyway, it sells out fast. And then I believe the Regency Square, or Regency Mall vaccines, you can make an appointment by phone, and there is a phone number, and I can give you that number if y'all want to write it down. The phone number is 866.
Why don't I text it out or chat it out to everybody?
Okay.
That way they can just get it in their chat window. It'll be
All
written
right,
down.
I'll chat that for you in the chat.
Yeah, you chat it to everybody. Okay.
I will chat that for you in the box. So
Thank you, Sean.
Report.
Good job. Thank you for checking that for everybody. We have a were there any other pop-ups for the good of the club today? No other pop-ups. So Matt Hebner, it's on to you.
Let's see. Well, good afternoon, everybody. We have 3 birthdays this upcoming week. One is Barry Allred on the 1st of February, and then Ryan Crabtree on the 4th, and Jeff Rayner on the 4th as well. And so if everybody can make sure they think of them on those days. And so I have a short story. And this one actually involves, it happened a long time ago, but it involved my youngest or my oldest son. And he was in the 2nd grade, and we were having this terrible time of him failing all of his spelling tests. And so it was exasperated. I said, son, I will give you anything that you want if you'll just, make a B in spelling. And he said, well, will you give me a cell phone? Now, this is a 2nd grader. And I figured, I don't know who he's needing to call, but I said, sure. He said, well, can it have texting? And I said, yeah, sure. We'll let him have texting too. So sure enough, he got that grade up to a B. And I was really impressed. And I gave him, I stood by my word. I went out, I found a little phone that had a keypad on it, and I gave it to him. And sure enough, he sent me a text, and it says, does it work? DUSITWERK. So sometimes you don't necessarily get what you pay for.
Oh, that's beautiful. I hope you're going to write a book someday because your stories are hysterical. I tried to keep a list of those kinds of things that my daughter did, and I stopped after a while, and because they say the darndest things. Thank you, Matt. Dane Jensen, our Sergeant at Arms, do you have a report today?
Good afternoon, everybody. Very brief report today. I'm not aware of any guests or visiting Rotarians. And since I don't know any Rotary appropriate jokes, I'll go ahead and turn it back over to President Mary Pat.
Thanks,
Sorry,
Dane.
Ike has a guest. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have a guest, Dane. My guest today is my good friend, Edith Abdullah. Edith runs the continuing education program at UNF.
My apologies, guys. I didn't realize.
Welcome, Edith. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for the invitation. I'm excited to hear Lisamarie.
And we have a Rotarian that has returned to us, Joe Springer. Thanks for being with us today, and thanks for popping into the board meeting the other night. I appreciate your participation.
That's great.
So without any further ado, Ike, would you please introduce our speaker?
Yeah, thank you, President Mary Pat. It's a great pleasure to introduce my friend, Lisamarie Winslow. She is the campus president of Keiser University at Jacksonville. President Winslow's career in higher education began in the corporate world 20 plus years ago and led to her current role as campus president of Keiser University Jacksonville campus. Keiser University is a regionally accredited university with 19 campuses statewide, 3 international locations, 20,000 students, 3,500 faculty and staff worldwide, and 22 NAIA recognized sports teams. As campus president, she has responsibility over 100 staff and faculty members and over 700 students. President Winslow is active in many boards and organizations in the community. The most notable one is that Lisamarie is a proud Rotarian and board member of the Rotary Club of South Jacksonville. President Winslow has been married to her husband Scott for 23 years and has 3 amazing kids: Tobin 19, Aiden 16, Caitlin 13. President Winslow holds a BBA in accounting from Campbell University, an MBA in business administration from Mary Hardin Baylor University, and started doctoral classes at Keiser University in career education. President Winslow.
My pleasure. I thank you so much for that introduction. I appreciate it. You did it very well. Very good. Nice justice. It's always hard to hear your accomplishments when somebody else is reading them. They're very humbling. So thank you very much for that. So I am just honored to be here. I was telling the members who joined early on that I find it very hard to stay to a 20-minute time limit for talking about Keiser University, because there's so many wonderful things that we do here at the campus and with the university system. And I find that a lot of people don't know much about Keiser University, and what they do know is probably not necessarily all that there is. So I'm going to try and leave time for questions and keep myself on a short time limit. So we're going to start with a video. Patty, would you mind running that short video?
Our community is very, very strong, and that sense of community and who we are really embodies Jacksonville. It embodies Keiser University too. Dr. Keiser and his mother set out with a mission to make sure that we were delivering education in a different way. And the different way really comes down to the leadership of each one of the campuses, but set by the tone of Dr. Keiser himself, and that is that personal touch. And I think in higher education, that personal touch has been lost, especially at some of the larger universities. So we really, I believe, specialize in the personal touch and what that means to us and how we define it in our delivery method, how we interact with our students, the support that we provide our students, and just the people that we hire that do that.
We love what we do. You know, I love my profession, and I like to think of myself as the protector of my profession. So if I'm going to bring somebody into my profession, well, they have to be trained at the highest level possible.
They combine field trips with hands-on. They have demonstrations. They have guest speakers who come in. A lot of the time, they'll have people who do this all the time, and they'll come in, and all of a sudden, the concepts are like, oh, got it.
The fact that it's so small and so personable and so kind of fitted to you, if you want it, this is the perfect place to study. This is a perfect place to get an education.
You have to understand that the relationship we have with students here doesn't end at graduation. Like any other institute, I graduated many colleges, right? I have multiple degrees. And once I graduated, I've never spoken to another faculty member there. This is an ongoing relationship. These students contact us years afterwards. They want to know, they contact me for advice. Hey, I'm in the clinic and this is going on. What should I do? Or can you write me a recommendation letter? Or, hey, just wanted to touch base with you and let you know what's going on.
So it's really important to me that our prospective students have access to programs in which they're going to find jobs here in Jacksonville. And we see that with our graduates.
And a lot of employers will come and say, oh, the Keiser students are very professional, they're very engaged, they're very passionate about what they're doing, and we want more.
There's the term, there's a war on talent, and it truly is. And discovering this opportunity with Keiser and their pool of talent is very, very beneficial for us.
Keiser University and Physicians Group Services have been partners for going on 7 years now. We do a lot of work with their internship programs, medical assisting program, and hiring a lot of their graduates. You know, I've actually seen the tangible and the quantitative approach that they use to really help grow my, staff members, which has ultimately helped grow my organization.
So Keiser University really helps align community, the economic drivers of where Jacksonville is going as a city and the industries in which we are trying to grow, and the programs that we're delivering.
I took everything that I've used and everything that this campus and Keiser University has given me, and I have used it to my utmost advantage. So it's just, I can't even thank them enough and tell them how much I appreciate how much effort they put into me.
You can be anything that you want to be. So why not come to a school that's going to help you with your resume, help you with your professional building while giving you a hands-on education? Like, take the chance on yourself and do it.
All right, cut.
Thank you, Patty. I appreciate that. Y'all are actually the first audience to see that promo video. So I hope you enjoyed it. I know I enjoy watching it every time, and I'm just so proud of my students, quite frankly, and my faculty. We were talking about them on the front end. Patty, if you wouldn't mind flipping over to my PowerPoint, that'd be great. This way I stay on task and keep the time. So a little bit about, while Patty's getting that up, I can give you a little bit of history of Keiser University, like mentioned in the video. Keiser University was started in 1977 by Dr. Keiser and Mrs. Evelyn Keiser, his mother, who is now 97 this year. You can advance to that next slide and just give you an intro to what we'll be speaking about. So, you know, we've been doing this. We're young in traditional education. As I know, we have some folks on the phone from UNF, and here in Jacksonville, we are really fortunate to be amongst some leaders in education in regional higher education. And so I feel honored to lead this organization and to assist in the vision that Dr. Keiser had with Keiser University in that concierge approach that you heard referenced in the video. And so it's all about our student first philosophy. You just move on to the next one, Patty, that'd be great. Here's a picture of our flagship campus, a little bit of history there. For some of you architect buffs, the nephew of one of Frank Lloyd Wright's nephews actually designed that building there in West Palm Beach. And it's a signature building, of course, because of the architecture as well as the presence there in West Palm Beach. We move to the next slide. So when we talk about how we're different and Keiser University and Dr. Keiser's vision, he always leads the conversation with career. And for those of you who are familiar with traditional education, sometimes career education doesn't necessarily have a positive connotation because of some of the things that have gone on in a for-profit world. But being a regionally accredited university and not-for-profit university, we are very proud of that career focus because it is that career focus that allows our students to be successful. And it really is the embodiment of who we are and our student first philosophy. Next slide, please. So some of the things about Keiser University that I don't think that everybody understands or knows, we are actually the third largest producer of nurses in the state of Florida. Actually, I think in 2020, these numbers are a little bit old. I think this is from 2019. In 2020, we actually moved into the second place nationally, but we're still the largest producer of ASN, associate degree seeking nurses, RNs in the state of Florida. And that's across the campuses. We have 15 campuses, 15 nursing programs statewide. We are also recognized for our computer and information or technology, ranked both in the state as well as nationally. Our CJ programs and then our fitness studies programs are also nationally ranked and ranked first in the state of Florida. Next slide, please. Some things that folks don't know about Keiser University is that we do have sports teams and we compete in the NAI division. I'd like to tell you that I'm a sports enthusiast and know exactly what that means. All I know is that it's below NCAA, and but we do compete nationally. We compete in a lot of conferences in the state as well as outside of our state borders and have a lot of national recognitions. I didn't want to list them all here, but you can see, you know, we've got football, we've got lacrosse, we've got soccer, we've got ladies, men's teams, our golf team. I mean, it's pretty phenomenal what our sports teams are able to accomplish. Now here in Jacksonville, of course, I don't have those sports teams. We'll talk a little bit about my campus. Next slide, please. So our student first philosophy is really the core of who we are. and attached to the vision and everything that we do. And it really is, I like to think of it as a tripod, and it's based on our curriculum and our curriculum delivery, our faculty and the way that they deliver that faculty. And then in higher education, accreditation is everything. And we really honor and covet our regional accreditation through the Southern Colleges Associations, oh my goodness gracious, I'm stepping over my words today. We refer to them as SACs, but it's the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools. And, you know, that accreditation, UNF, JU, you know, all the regionally accredited universities here in Jacksonville, Ed Waters, Florida State College of Jacksonville. I mean, that is something that we all work very, very hard to maintain, because it is that accreditation as a university that allows us to grant our degrees. And there's a lot that goes behind that. I won't go into it because we could have a whole nother session on that. So, and then we also spend a lot of time on our programmatic accreditation. Next slide, please. So when we're talking about student first philosophy, it's more than just words. It's more than saying, well, of course you're student centered. Do you enroll students? No, it's really about making sure that the decisions we make are based on what's in the best interest for the students, the programs we design, the way that we deliver education, the alternate schedules that we offer, that it is in the best interest of the student. Now, it doesn't mean one student, it means every student. And sometimes students have a hard time understanding that because they think student-centered means that they're always right. And I like to speak to our student body and our students when they come in and explain to them that we are going to do everything that's in their best interest, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to always agree with what we think is in their best interest. Next slide, please. We also measure, in the video, it talks about the benchmarking and the metrics, and we have spent a lot of time in our history in the measures, in the metrics, in the benchmarks. And some of it, I think, that comes from because as a university, we started in primarily, we started with a medical program. It was medical lab technician, it was MLT, was the first program that Keiser University ever offered. And because the health related fields and academia are very much benchmark driven on outcomes, it has been part of who we are and translates to everything we do in all of our programs, as well as our students, which we measure and measure and measure and measure. And on a monthly basis, we look at those learning gains for our students. We look at the skills that they've acquired. We want to make sure that they're passing those critical exams that are going to allow them to get those licensure and a field placement. And then we work really, really hard on making sure that our students are getting placed into the careers and the jobs in which they're coming to school for. Next slide, please. I like this. I don't have a traditional, I'll let y'all read it. I don't have a traditional academic upbringing for higher education administration. It's pretty abnormal for higher education because I come from the business world. And for those of you who are in higher education, you know there's a little bit of a different mentality between faculty and administration. And bridging that gap as an administrator, especially as the president, is probably one of my biggest challenges because, you know, we all need to work together. So I love this quote here from the provost of SUNY, because sometimes as faculty, we get caught up in our subject matter expertise and thinking that that translates to everything that we do. And we have to remember each and every day that the students are here to learn. This is the place where they're allowed to make mistakes, that it doesn't have to be perfect every time. So just wanted to share this with you because I just find it humorous. Next slide, please. So when we talk about a student first philosophy, it's our culture. And what does that mean? It means that we have to make sure that our faculty, as well as staff, regardless of the credentials behind our name, that we're checking those egos at the door, because this needs to be a learning environment, and that learning environment needs to be open to all students. We have to honor our commitments. I am a person who holds myself high to my commitments that I make, and also hold my faculty and staff to commitments that they make to students, to each other, and to the community. So I think it's really important that we honor those commitments, and that is inherent to who we are as a university. And practicing a business solving solution and finding those solutions. You know, we like to say that we handhold our students through the education process from enrollment to graduation, but that doesn't mean we enable them, because we want to make sure that they are critical thinkers and they are able to problem solve. So they have to practice that. So our hands-on learning is really critical to everything that we do. Next slide, please. our faculty make the difference, and I couldn't be more proud of my faculty. I have been the president of this university for 10 years now, and I've always had admiration for my faculty and what they do each and every day. But this year, in the coming out of the pandemic, hopefully, and going through that with my amazing faculty, and I mean that it is heartfelt. If it wasn't for the faculty and their commitment to the university, to their profession, and to our students, I don't know that we as a university would have fared as well as we have. And we have done extremely well through the pandemic. And what I base that on is our students are staying engaged. Our students are not dropping out of school. Our students are coming to class. Our students are graduating. And that's what's been really important to measure that success. And our faculty are committed to that. We deliver education one class at a time. We focus on a pre and post test evaluation of student learnings and outcome. There's a personalized attention to the learning process. We try to standardize our curriculum across the system so that if a student comes to Keiser University, Jacksonville, and for whatever reason has to move to Daytona or down further, Orlando or down south, that transition is easy for them. The professionalism is something that my faculty demonstrate each and every day. Many of them have experience in the fields in which they are speaking to, and we are very concerned across the university if students aren't in class. We call our students, we reach out to our students, we text them to find out what's going on in life. Most of these are adult-seeking students. Life gets in the way. Next slide, please. So institutional effectiveness, another measure of what we guide ourselves, what I measure how we are doing here at the campus and within the university system. And faculty are a critical piece of that. Our retention, holding on to our students, making sure our students get jobs and student satisfaction. Next slide, please. So we talked about our faculty. This just reiterates that. Again, couldn't be more proud of my faculty. In the pandemic, as all higher education institutions across the nation had challenges with students attending class, my faculty went from a in-person delivery to a remote environment. And they didn't just send the students out there and say, okay, great, here's some content that you need to learn. No, what they did is they did their classes live each and every day. They made themselves available outside of normal classroom hours. They were engaging with their students every way that they could and offering them help. And just, I don't know that anybody took any time off. It was just, it's just been amazing. And now as we're bringing students back to campus in a modified format, it is showing by leaps and bounds of how quickly students are recovering. Next slide, please. Retention, if you're not keeping your students, you're not graduating your students. It's everything in higher education. And if you're not measuring it, if you're not holding your faculty accountable for that, then in my opinion, as a higher education leader, then we're missing the mark. Because students enroll in school to graduate, not to just get some class, especially when they're going after a degree. Now, obviously some universities, the community college, different strategy, but for us, students are enrolling here because they want to get a degree, they want a career. And if we're not making sure that we're retaining them, we're not graduating and they're not contributing to the workforce at the end of the day. Next slide, please. Placement. So, it's important that we place those students when they graduate. And there's just a really small smattering of the companies that we work very closely with as partners. You saw and heard from some of them in the video. But our community engagement and our professional preparation of our students really, I think, are two of the factors that contribute to that high placement. I'm measured on my placement as a campus president within the university system. And I hold that, that's probably one of the things that I find that I need to be most accountable to both my students, my faculty, and the staff and the community in which I'm serving. And I just think that being in higher education, being an engaged member of this community, we have to make sure that we're graduating students with degrees that contribute to our community. Next slide, please. We also measure our student satisfaction. We do this on an annual basis. We get a pretty good participation rate, and we want to make sure that we're above that 4.0. And as you can see here, the categories that we look at in making sure that our students are able to say things that are positive about the university, that they agree and feel that we are committed to their quality education. They'd recommend us. I have generations of students who have come through my programs, and it's really awesome to have a son, a daughter, and even in some cases, a grandson of an alumni. And, you know, as we grow and mature in our as a university, we will continue to see more of that, but it's so rewarding to see that at graduation. Our student first philosophy, you know, it's more than words, and making sure that our students believe that we are committed to that student first philosophy. And then that the students agree that they have received a quality education and are satisfied with their experience. Next slide, please. So I don't know how much time I have. As you can imagine, there have been many challenges this past year in higher education, but quite frankly, they're not new challenges. I think they've just been brought to the forefront a little bit more with the pandemic. Funding is always an issue in higher academia. How do we deliver? I think that how do we deliver the education? I think that has been really pushed to the forefront in traditional education this year, this past year, and how do we accomplish that and still measure and maintain the learning outcomes that we all expect. Technology continues to be a challenge for all of us in keeping up with the fast pace of that, as well as securing the information that we have here, and then maintaining accreditation. This past year with the pandemic has been significantly challenging for degree programs, which certifications and licensure are dependent on lab time and things of that nature in order to maintain that accreditation. So it's been challenging, and universities across the nation have all of these issues. Next slide, please. I'm going to leave it open for questions. I know I covered a lot. I know I did it fast, but I wanted to make sure that you guys had time for questions. I'm happy to answer about Keiser University, higher education, education in our community, the programs we offer. So I'll just open it up to the floor.
Hey, regarding the programs you offer, what areas is it all paramedical?
No, sir. So the university offers 105 disciplines from PhDs to associate degrees. At my campus here in Jacksonville, I offer primarily 14 on-ground programs. The health-related ones would be nursing, physical therapist assistant, occupational therapy. We're just getting ready to offer the master's in OT as well, RT, imaging sciences. So those are our primary health-related ones that we offer at our campus. Transportation logistics, biomedical sciences, which is a pre-professional to med school and PA school. We offer exercise science, health and human performance. Those are some of our core on-ground programs, business administration, that we offer at the campus here.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Lisamarie, hi, it's Mike from the USO.
Hey, Mike.
Great job. I just want to let my fellow Rotarians know that Lisamarie is a great friend of mine, a great friend of the USO and our military. They are partners with our USO Pathfinder Transition Program. They financially have supported us, and Jeremy Smith, Dean of her Transportation Logistics School, sits on the USO board, and we greatly appreciate all the support that Keiser University and Lisamarie provide for our sailors, soldiers, Marines, and Coast Guards, men and women. Good to see you.
Pay you later, Mike.
Yeah. No, it's
Thank
all
you.
true.
Well, I appreciate that. And, you know, Mike brings up a good point. 40% of my population is military related. And that means transitioning military, those who've made the decision to keep Jacksonville their home. And they come with some unique challenges as well as they're transitioning out of the military. And I think they find Keiser University a nice transition from military service to the civilian world because of the discipline that we have we require our students to wear uniforms. They have to, there's a dress code that they have to adhere to. There's time commitments that they have to adhere to. So it's very structured in what we offer. And I think when military members are transitioning out of the military, it's kind of that in between, and they appreciate that structure and formality. So thank you for reminding me of that.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little shocked by that you have a uniform policy in the university.
We do. We do. So, and it's probably one of the things that our employers speak to the most. Because when they come on campus, our students are expected to have a professional dress code. And for our young men, normally that is a shirt and tie or a program specific polo. So it's a collared shirt. And our ladies, of course, have a few more options, but we don't allow jeans, no shorts, no flip flops. We uphold that. You know, I tell my students, you never know when your employer is going to be on campus, your next employer, and you want to be able to be in a position to always make a first good impression, right? You know what they say about not getting a second chance to make a first impression. You don't know if Mike O'Brien from the USO might not be somebody who's looking at you for a job in 12 months. And so, you want him to remember you in slippers and pajama pants? In 10 years, I've had one student show up on campus with slippers. They didn't stay.
Do we have anybody else with questions today?
I don't have a question, but she sounds like my first sergeant.
I will take that as a compliment.
That was all.
Thank you, sir.
Very good. Well, if we don't have any other questions, thank you very much for being with us today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm honored to be here. It's been an honor. Thank you so much. I'd like to extend an invitation just real quick. If anybody would like to ever come visit the campus, I'd be happy to give you a personal tour. It's something to see. I enjoy having our community come see what we do here in person. So open invitation, just let me know. And Patty knows how to reach me, and we can make that happen.
Thank you, Lisamarie.
My pleasure.
I just wanted to remind everybody again that next week we will be in person at Timaquana. So please RSVP to Patty if you plan to attend in person. Our speaker will be the author Tom O'Malley. And I guess we'll be wrapping up a little early today, and Philippe will lead us in the 4-way test.
Hi, fellow Rotarians, if you would join me on the 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Number 1, is it the truth? Number 2, is it fair to all concerned? Number 3, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Number 4, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you all.
Thank you, Philippe. And thank you all for being with us today. Stay safe.
Good to see you, Edith.
Bye, y'all. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Hi, Sean.
Have a good day.
Bye, Patty.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Patty. Okay.
Okay.